That's right, you guys guessed it. This Halloween build is going to be Ash's chainsaw hand from the Evil Dead films. Now, as I said, you guys had a lot of great suggestions, and I will get to most of them, but we had several people request this, and to be honest, it's one of my favorite film franchises, and I've never built one before. So, rather than build one completely from scratch, which there are a lot of great tutorials out there on how to build it using things like an old gas can and some plywood, or even like a Tide bottle or some kind of detergent bottle or something, and converting that into one. I want mine to kind of work, and because it's Halloween, there are tons of Halloween stores and party stores that have these fake chainsaws, and there are all kinds of coupons and stuff like that out there, so you can get them pretty cheap. So this one, I actually, with the coupon, I got at a party store for about 26 bucks. And what's cool about it, this has got a working chain. So what I'm gonna have to do is take it apart and see how I can get a fist in there without moving too many components around so that it still works. I want it to still have the sound effect, but I gotta be able to take this handle off and move the switch to the inside so that I can operate it within. Definitely gonna have to do some modifications to make it look a little bit more like Ash's. His kind of swoops down. Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut some of this out, add a piece of sheet metal. We're gonna have to build the metal handle and cut this one down, take this one off, and remove this bogus pull cord knob thing here. Yeah, the other side's pretty good. I mean, we're obviously gonna have to paint it up, dirty it up, but for the most part, we've got a decent amount of work to do to it. All right, so some of the other items that we're gonna be using is a scrap piece of sheet metal, this wooden dowel, some aluminum flat bar, this 3-inch pipe coupling, some various corner brackets, this little toggle switch, some various nuts and bolts and screws, and so far, that's about it. This is what I'm going with. I hope you guys dig it. Kind of dive right in and see what this sucker looks like inside. All right, so we just open that sucker up. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of room inside there, so it'll be easy to fit a hand. And removing the switch out of the handle was a piece of cake. Once the handle popped right off, the switch was still intact. Right. So I took my pipe coupling and put it to the back and traced it out with my Sharpie so that I knew where to make my cuts. I also did the same thing on the top where I was going to cut it down to kind of give it that reduced look that matches a little bit more to Ash's chainsaw. So using my plastic cutting bit on my rotary tool, I cut it out. Just pull that thing off. And then I went back over it after I finished cutting these out with my sanding bit, kind of get rid of some of those rough edges. But hand fits, good enough. While I'm at it, I'm just going to cut off that pull chain knob because we're going to replace that with our own. Yeah, get that thing out of there. So I cut the bar down because Ash's only has his like on the side. His is cut down because we're going to put a handle on the top. So once I cut out the top piece, and it's got that kind of reduced look, now I'm going to cut a piece of dowel that's going to be the inside of my handle. And then I made some lines down the center of another piece of dowel, and I'm going to cut it down the middle. And that's going to be the top and bottom grip on the top handle that we're going to cut and bend out of our flat bar. And that's going to go across the top of the chainsaw. So I made some holes. in the handles. And then my flat bar I just put in the vise and bent into the shape that I wanted. And that looks pretty good. Kind of deciding how much I want it to come down. If I want to cut a piece off. I'm going to need some of that flat bar to attach the inside handle, so we have something to grip inside of the chainsaw. So now I'm just cutting off my flat bar, and we're looking pretty good. I got my sheet metal, and it was thin enough sheet metal to where actually I could cut it with a pair of hobby shears, which made it a little bit easier to cut. Now I've got my little brackets, and I'm measuring where to make my holes on the chainsaw and the coupling. The brackets themselves I had to bend quite a bit to kind of fit the contours of the chainsaw. I also used some aluminum strap because it's a little easier to work with and easier to bend. Once I made my measurements, my holes, I drilled them out with my drill on the coupling. And then I attached my brackets, just a screw, a nut, and a little lock washer in there so it didn't back out. Screw everything in snug and make sure that everything is lining up still before I attach everything. Now I'm cutting another piece of dowel. It's going to be my pull chain. Sanding it down, drill the hole through the middle, and using a piece of rope that I had lying around the shop, to feed it through the hole. That'll be my pull chain. The other piece of dowel I screwed to that piece of aluminum flat bar we had scrapped, and that's going to attach the inside of my chainsaw so I have something to grab onto, and we can attach the switch to the inside of that. Once I have the handle secured, seems to fit pretty good, I'm going to shut a screw through the bottom into the dowel to hold it in place along with the bracket. Any excess wiring in there that I didn't need, I removed. There was actually a switch already in there that wasn't attached to anything, so I just removed that. All the other wiring I taped using electrical tape, kind of get it out of the way. And the switch, I used electrical tape to attach the switch to the handle. Now the piece of plastic that I cut off the top, I sanded the edges down so it still had that reduced look, and then I re-glued the top part to the chainsaw with some hot glue. I drilled a hole through my pieces of sheet metal where I could put my toggle switch, and then I put the sheet metal in place using some screws, just like so. I used various hardware to kind of give it a look like it was built out of scrap pieces. Once everything is secured, attach my pipe coupling. I had to feed the screws in from the inside so that the screws weren't digging into my wrist. Also, that's the look that the original one has, so. Once I got everything into place and tightened everything down, made sure it was secure, I taped everything off that I didn't want painted. I painted it using Krylon. I used a red gloss at first over the whole body of it. I then went back over it with a flat, darker red to kind of give it that worn look. I needed an oil and gas cap, so a couple of water bottle caps sufficed. Using some black latex paint I laying around the shop, I watered it down and painted over all of the crevices and cracks. Once I painted in those cracks, I went right over it with a paper towel to remove any excess. This leaves a really good, dingy, grungy kind of look to it, like it's covered in oil and dirt and stains. It gives it a nice weathered look, and it's usually the paint job that sells any prop. I sprayed the chainsaw blade with a nickel finish and did the same thing with the wash. The black paint painted in all the cracks and crevices and immediately wiped it off to give it that kind of dingy, gritty look. All right, well there it is, Ash's chainsaw hand from the Evil Dead movies. Overall, I'd have to say I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. It was a little more involved than I actually originally thought it was going to be, but a few things that maybe you guys didn't notice. When I was building, I needed a gas and an oil cap for the top. Kind of forgot about it, but fortunately, I drank a couple bottles of water while I was working, so I just painted the bottle caps and glued them to the top there. The pull cord, it's kind of loose. I think it looks kind of neat when it's kind of dangling. You could just glue it right to the actual chainsaw, but I like the way it kind of hangs a little bit with the rope just kind of attached inside there. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this build as much as I enjoyed building it. It was a lot of fun and gave me a great excuse to build one. It's something I've always kind of wanted to do and I've never gotten around to. So this gave me a great excuse. So thanks guys for the suggestions. And yeah, until next time, keep watching. Keep building. Enjoy your Halloween. Don't forget to look me up on Facebook at James Jim J. Roz. And yeah, thanks again for watching, guys. You guys are awesome. See you next time.